The bold and the beautiful spoilers for the week of July 28th to August 1st state that Luna Nozawa will return on TV, while Sheila Sharp makes a plea to Lee Finnegan. Brooke Logan will also snap at Ridge Forrester. So here's what BNB fans should expect. Brooke, Ridge and Eric Forrester will be able to get to work quickly after the plane arrives in Italy. There will be some notable appearances in Naples, but there will also be a spectacular event in Capri. Viewers will attend a beautiful fashion show and hear speeches before Brooke decides to go on an adventure with Nick. Ridge's attempt to control Brooke will backfire, and she will lash out at him before leaving with Nick. Of course, Nick will see this as his moment to sweep Brooke off her feet, so he'll take her out on a boat and plan to propose. This all leads up to Brooke's injury and Ridge's life-saving mission in the following episodes. In the meantime, Will Spencer will make a proposition to Elektra Forrester. Will is going to push Elektra into fashion modeling, so we'll see if she accepts the concept. Sheila will continue to lament Luna's loss. Lee informed Sheila that Luna's service had already been completed and handled, but Sheila will still want to say farewell. Sheila may plead to see Luna's body before it is placed to rest, or she may choose to view Luna's urn or grave. Regardless, Lee will not grant Sheila's request. There will be a solid reason, given that Luna is still alive and stashed away somewhere. Luna will ultimately return to the screen, but her recuperation is far from complete. Luna appears to be in a vegetative state, with numerous machines attached to her, but Lee is undoubtedly keeping a close eye on her. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, the week of July 28th to August 1st will have some thrilling sequences and significant mysteries, so stay tuned for updates on everything Lee's keeping under wraps. The bold and the beautiful spoilers are in for Monday, July 28, 2025. Fans should expect Eric Forrester to warn Nick Marone. Meanwhile, Brooke Logan responds to Taylor Hayes' encounter. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the CBS soap drama. Taylor Hayes' warning. Let us begin with Brooke and Taylor. They are once again fighting over Ridge Forrester. Despite Tridge's engagement, Taylor sees Brooke pursuing Ridge. Taylor is particularly anxious about Ridge being in Italy, since it has been the setting for many of their reunions. Read this. Discover what happened in the latest episode of BNB. Taylor made a suggestion to Nick, but he did not agree. This could vary based on what Brooke says to Taylor. I believe Taylor will once again press Nick to accept her offer. Brooke Logan's defense. Brooke was throwing herself at Ridge, asking him to reunite. Of course, Taylor happened to notice the exchange. Ridge was a good boy and behaved well, but Taylor will be concerned. After confronting the blonde, Brooke will respond. Could Brooke lash back at Taylor, causing her opponent to worry? Will Brooke play innocent, making Taylor wonder what she'll do next? Of course, they may spend time arguing back and forth. Eric Forrester's warning. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Monday, July 28th hint that Eric will issue Nick a warning. The father continues to press Ridge to reconnect with Brooke. It is really rude to Taylor, regardless of whose side you are on. In any case, Eric will want to ensure that Nick does not jeopardize a potential Bridge reunion. The patriarch will warn Nick in the following episode, but he blatantly ignores it. Nick Marone's complication. Fans may also witness Nick confront an implication. If he ignores Eric's warning, would the Forrester patriarch take action? Perhaps Eric has someone destroy Nick's plane, forcing Brooke to travel with Ridge. The weekly preview footage shows Jack landing in Italy and urgently attempting to board a boat. Meanwhile, Brooke and Ridge embark on a boat together. Back with Nick, he'll finally discover a method to reach Brooke. Nick exclaims, "Let the fun begin," with a confident attitude and a bright smile. However, the trip may take an unexpected turn, so stay tuned. Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing on Monday, July 28, 2025? The morning sun poured softly through the Forrester Creations windows, striking the golden shimmer of Luna's hair as she stood at the design table, her magnetic presence as strong as ever. It had been weeks since anyone had seen her inside the facility. Whispers drifted through the corridors like ghostly echoes, rumors about why she went, what she'd been hiding, and when or if she'd return. And yet, there she was, quietly placing her portfolio on the table as if nothing had changed. But everything did. Ridge noticed her first. He was in the midst of a conversation with RJ when he noticed her, standing tall and graceful, eyes scanning the room with quiet confidence. RJ's eyes widened as well, his visage clouded by a mix of surprise and something deeper, perhaps regret. For a heartbeat, the entire workplace appeared to pause, breath stuck in throats, as if scared to shatter the idea that Luna had genuinely returned. She didn't flinch as the murmuring began. Her heels clicked quietly against the floor as she strolled toward the workroom, giving gentle nods to the interns and seamstresses who pretended not to notice. Her graceful steps were only matched by the storm she brought inside. Coming back was not a spontaneous decision. She had fought with it night after night. However, some designs and questions remained unresolved. She couldn't run indefinitely. Rich followed her inside the design office, his voice soft but concerned. "Luna," he replied, his voice low and measured. "Are you sure about this?" She turned to face him, her gaze serene but steadfast. "Yes. I need to be here." He looked at her for a time. Her eyes reflected maturity, hardened by experience. She was no longer the bright-eyed intern with big hopes. She now appeared to have tasted disappointment and found the strength to continue walking. "I respect that," Rich finally stated. "Just know, not everyone will make it easy." Luna gave a faint, exhausted smile. "I'm not looking for easy." Brooke was pacing in the main office. Her patience, which was usually thin when Ridge was involved, had run out. She had learned of Luna's return from Katie, who had obtained the information from an overzealous assistant. Brooke wasn't unhappy with Luna, at least not particularly. She was furious with the man she loved for making a crucial decision without consulting her. Luna may be back on her own terms, but Brooke couldn't resist the notion that Ridge was manipulating strings behind the scenes. Brooke acted quickly when Ridge entered the room. "You didn't think to tell me?" she demanded, arms crossed fiercely across her chest. Ridge frowned, puzzled. "Tell you what?" she snapped. "That Luna's back. You knew." "Don't lie to me, Ridge." His mouth opened and then closed. "I found out this morning. Exactly like you." Brooke's eyes narrowed. "Really? Because you were talking to her in your office like everything was planned." She returned on her own, Brooke. "I did not bring her here." Brooke breathed sharply, frustration building in her chest. "You always do this. You let others walk all over you in the name of second chances. What if she's not prepared? What if she stirs things up again?" "She has a right to be here," Rich stated, his tone steady but stern. "She is talented. She departed due to a difficult experience. She deserves support, not condemnation." Brooke shakes her head. "You believe that understanding and empathy can solve any problem. But occasionally people have to be held accountable. She's been through enough." "So have we," Brooke exclaimed, her voice suddenly sharp. The disaster Luna left behind had an impact on the entire corporation. RJ was a wreck. Poppy nearly vanished. "Do you want it all back?" Ridge approached, dropping his voice. "This is not about RJ. Or Poppy. This is about Luna sticking up for herself and returning to work. If she's ready, who are we to turn her away?" Brooke turned aside, her shoulders tensed. She wasn't used to being on the sidelines of Ridge's decisions. They were meant to form a team. But now it appeared that he was side with Luna, or at the very least, valuing her return over the mayhem that might ensue. Luna heard enough in the hallway to know she wasn't welcome everywhere in the building. Brooke's voice echoed like thunder through thin walls, so she didn't need to eavesdrop. But Luna continued to walk, head held high. She had not returned for Brooke's approval. She came back for herself. Later that afternoon, RJ approached her, hesitant but attempting to smile. "I wasn't sure if you'd ever come back." Luna searched his face for seriousness. "Neither was I." There was silence between them, full of 100 unspoken things. Apologies. Regrets. What ifs? RJ shuffled awkwardly, hands in pockets. "I missed you," he replied softly. "I missed you too," she said. "But a lot's changed." "I know," he responded. "But some things haven't." He didn't press any farther, and Luna appreciated that. Time would tell where they were. For the time being, she needed to recover her place on her own terms. As the sun set beyond the horizon, throwing lengthy shadows across the studio, Luna stood in front of her sketches. The lines on the paper appeared to be from another time in her life. But as she studied them, She felt stirrings of inspiration and possibility. Brooke watched from a distance, arms still crossed but her gaze softened. Perhaps Ridge was correct. Maybe Luna deserved a second shot. But Brooke would be watching. She would do everything she could to defend this company and her family. Nobody, no matter how skilled or tragic, would get a free pass. And Ridge? He stood between the two women in his life, entangled once more in the web of compassion and consequences. For the time being, he could only pray that Luna's return resulted in healing rather than new wounds. But in this world, particularly at Forrester, hope was always fraught with danger. Eric stood at the far end of the room, his jaw clenched and his gaze fixated on Nick with hardly hidden wrath. The tension between them had been simmering for weeks, but it finally boiled over today. Nick leaned against the fireplace, arms crossed nonchalantly, but his smug smile revealed his enjoyment in driving Eric over the line. The silence was stifling, punctuated only by the distant tick of the grandfather clock. "You crossed a line," Eric remarked, his voice low but powerful. "I won't let you manipulate this family any longer." Nick shrugged. "You can't play the hero anymore. You gave that up when you turned your back on Brooke." The name hit Eric like a slap, but he didn't move. He took a steady, purposeful stride forward. Brooke made her decisions. Just when you are making damaging, selfish choices. But don't imagine for a second that I won't fight back. Before Nick could respond, the front door sprang open. Brooke strode in, her shoes tapping forcefully on the gleaming floor. Her eyes burned with rage as she looked from Eric to Nick. "Enough!" she exclaimed. "You both behave like spoiled children. This is over now." Eric looked at her, astonished by the steel in her words. Brooke had had enough of being a pawn in their war. She was no longer the woman who silently allowed the men in her life to determine her fate. "I won't be used by either of you," she stated, standing between them. "Do you want to fight? Do it without dragging me in." Nick opened his words, but Brooke raised a hand. "Save it. I've seen you both tear this family apart over pride, control, and me. But I am not the prize in some warped competition." Eric stared at her with a sense of remorse. "Brooke, No," she replied firmly. "I adored you both. I gave everything and received lies and treachery in return. Do you want to fix this? Begin by staring in the mirror." Nick scoffed. "So now you're taking the moral high ground?" Before Brooke could respond, another voice joined the melee. Taylor arrived in the doorway, her demeanor serene yet concerned. "Brooke's right," she replied gently, but her words were powerful. "This cycle, the never-ending power struggle, is driving us apart. I came to warn both of you. If this situation continues, we will lose everything. We have children, our relationships, our legacy." Eric frowned. "You think I want this?" "I think you're blinded by history," Taylor said. "Each of us is. We keep reliving the same scenarios, hoping for a new outcome. But there won't be one unless things change." Brooke nodded, her voice softer now. "I'm done taking part in this conflict. If either of you actually cares, show it by letting go." The room went still again, but this time the tension had changed. Not gone, just changed. Something had cracked. Not resolved but open. And from that breach, perhaps a new route can emerge.